They weren't my biological children, but I met this single mother of five a long time ago, and overnight became, the stay-at-home mother of five children.
Yeah, talk
But
about
like
0 to 100 miles an hour.
yeah, well, it's kind of like a typical lesbian thing, right? There's a joke with lesbians where like the second date involves a U-Haul, right?
Exactly.
This is the Transparency Podcast Show with hosts Shelby Chang and Michelle Herman from Long Beach, California, where we bring you life transformation stories, business, investment, personal development, entertainment, and more.
Welcome back to the Transparency Podcast Show. Hi, Michelle. How are you doing? Good morning. Couple episodes back, we were talking about voice to be heard and be visible in our society so people can learn about our life, our transitioning, our stories. So today, our guest talk about visibility.
Yeah, she's
out there. So.
Right. We're really excited to introduce you guys, and many of you probably already know Livia, but she's just a great example of being involved and connected and caring for the community.
Yeah, she involves in a variety of sectors.
Yes.
Like modeling, actress.
Uncategoricable.
And then the most I'm kind of surprising is chef.
Yes, exactly.
So
I saw those pictures.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Livia, we are excited to learn about your stories today. How are you doing today?
Hi there, I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show, of course. I'm ecstatic. I love to get out here and talk to everyone whenever possible, so awesome.
Yes, we're so excited to have you because you are doing so many different things. And all of that is underlined by trans awareness, trans advocacy, trans activism. And so I'm so thankful that you are out there in so many ways because you're really pushing the envelope for so many of us. So thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. Of course, it's nothing at all. It's they're all passion projects. I would do it regardless. So I'm really loving my life and that I have the opportunity to do that. And
awesome.
So we would like to learn about your story. How do you shape yourself to today? Do you when did you realize you're not living in your true self, like your gender?
Well, a lot has happened in just the last few years. I've only been out since 2017, around August. Actually, August 10th, 2017 is when I started to tell everyone. And by October, everyone in the world knew, even my mom and stuff. But it began for me back in 2015, spring of 2015. I came to the realization that this was in my future, and I didn't know what it looked like at the time. It was just going to be something, whatever, transition looks different to each one of us, I think.
Right. And
I didn't get the opportunity to really start doing it until 2017 when I was like, had enough. Lots of us have this moment, transition or die kind of. And,
true.
Right?
Yes.
So I'd had enough of this, and I'm ready to move on.
Did you always feel the incongruency as like from child, or is it more late onset, or how?
Well, I think I've had other trans women say that my gender dysphoria is even worse than theirs, but I thought I kind of got off easy back then, But I felt it K through 12 and my whole life. It really became an issue when I had to go to kindergarten, actually. And you're forced to relate to these other kids that you don't know and that sort of thing. So being social with them was wrong when you're presenting wrong and they see you as not the person you are. And that was minimal by kindergarten, really. I was uncomfortable. I was nervous. All my girlfriends in K through, in elementary at that point were all girls, not boys. Right, of course.
Yeah. So did you get any bully at school, K to 12?
Not really. No, I was okay. I mean, I was, the shy kid and, I was liked, but I wasn't ridiculed back then. I wasn't really, I wasn't dressing a certain way or anything like that. My mom saw to that, unfortunately. She was making sure I sort of presented like a boy to some degree, not harshly, but, quote unquote, for my own good, so I wouldn't get beaten up and stuff like that.
So,
but by fourth grade, by fourth grade, it became an issue by fourth grade because I was actually the first kid in my class for my voice to get deep.
Okay.
And in fourth grade, it's terrible.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I can imagine.
And I can still remember. I can still see the scene. This boy, Angelo Delcor, who I'm still friends with on Facebook. And he just had to tell the whole class that my voice got deep before anyone else's. And, I think a boy would have loved to lord that over the boys, and I was mortified.
Right.
Of course.
Exactly.
So in your adulthood, like if we fast forward a little bit, in your adulthood, did you, like maybe high school or college, did you try to act more manly to cover your identity? Like that?
I did. Well, I did two extremes. In high school, I dressed maybe that would be something that would be considered non-binary intermittently through high school.
Okay.
I was like sort of Michael Jackson back in the day.
Okay.
I had lots of bling all over my outfits and stuff.
Nice.
But I never looked female. But by the time I was 20 or so, it really became an issue, and I had moved. I felt like I had to move out of my own hometown to be closer to myself, and I moved 300 miles away to live with my cousin in Virginia. I was living in Central Jersey at the time.
Okay.
And so I have this cousin in Richmond, Virginia, and she's a lesbian, and we moved in together.
Okay.
And it was perfect, Yeah, it was good. But I still was hiding who I was for the most part. Like I was telling her and their friends and stuff like that I'm female, but there were no words for me to describe myself as trans at the time.
Right.
I grew up with these terrible words that I don't even want to say.
Exactly.
Like human monster for Chinese.
Yeah. Well, some of the words, that start with a T, they don't bother me, but I know they really hurt a lot of my sisters. So, I avoid using them, for that reason. But ultimately, I think we need to take a lot of those words back and own them and say they don't hurt us.
Right. Exactly. Reclaim.
Yeah.
Was your family supportive as you came out, besides your cousin? How did that work for you?
My mom, actually, my dad was more than my mom, which is kind of, probably opposite of what most people experience.
Yeah.
But, again, my mom was just worried, I think, that I would get beaten up and stuff like that.
Yes.
But I remember watching some TV show and, crossing my leg like the girl on the show, while I'm watching it. I'm like 7 or 8 years old, and I was in the living room. She'd come running out of the kitchen and say, don't do that, and uncross my leg, and
oh my,
don't do that. And so it sends a bad message.
Yes.
And I also read about your story. You also have a kid, right? You're a mother now.
This episode is brought to you by KitCaster. KitCaster books you on top podcasts. How do funded startup founders attract prospects and talent? Podcast interviews. How do entrepreneurs with exits find new deals? Podcast interviews. How do C-suite execs differentiate in crowded markets? Podcast interviews. KitCaster books you on top podcasts. Click the link in the show notes for a special offer. Celebrate good conversation.
Well, I was for a long time. 5 kids, actually. 3 girls, 2 boys.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't do anything halfway.
Exactly.
So they weren't my biological children, but I met this single mother of 5 a long time ago, and overnight became the stay-at-home mother of 5 children. Where basically 2 months after we met, I was at home and I was picking them up at school and doing all the after-school stuff with them and everything.
Yeah, talk about 0 to 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a typical lesbian thing, right? There's a joke with lesbians where, like, the second date involves a U-Haul, right?
Exactly.
And So she didn't know I was, female, and I just came across as the stepdad for a long time.
Okay.
And when I finally did come out as, the mom,
Okay.
the stay-at-home mom, and they were like the go to work 9 to 5,
Right.
sort of accountant, office manager kind of person. So it didn't go too well. We often, trans women especially, get hurt by our family, whether it's blood or in-laws or otherwise.
Right.
So it eventually didn't work out really badly.
Sorry to hear that.
Okay, so listen to your background story. I don't hear anything like related to what you're doing right now. Like, for example, like modeling, actress. How did you get into that business? I'm very curious.
None of that at all was in my past lives. I've done a lot of things as far as my work world in the past, but coming out, it is nothing less than a clean slate and an opportunity to chase the dreams you had as a kid. And from when I was 9, I had a camera in my hand and was shooting all the time. And by the time I was 14, I had one step down from a pro camera in my hand. So always that. And by 14, I really wanted to be a runway model.
Oh, nice.
So I'm like checking off those boxes. I chased the dream and I caught it. I got to do a bunch of fashion weeks already, and I'm signed up for half a dozen more between now and September.
Okay, so how's your experience working with it's called the trans clothing company? How did you get involved into that?
That was my first experience. And actually, all of this should have been starting to happen 2 years ago or more, actually. My first show was supposed to be Los Angeles in August of 2019, believe it or not. But I had committed to being on a movie set for an anti-suicide public service announcement, like a 30-minute movie. It was a psychological thriller. It's coming out this year. It's called Charlie's Demons. Okay. But so I couldn't do Fashion Week that at that moment, and then they gave me an opportunity for October, and that fell through. And then that February is when COVID happened.
Right.
So they were them, and at the time, lots of other designers, including some in Japan, invited me to Tokyo. Wow! And I'm like, yes, that's awesome. but COVID kept taking them. So I was supposed to do New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Tokyo at that point, and it all fell through. Wow! And so I kept up with it. I kept in touch with everyone. I kept, doing my workouts. As a model, you have to. Yes. Starving a little bit, eating lots of, I don't starve at all, but, and please don't do that if, for anything.
Don't try this.
It's not good. Yeah. I got an A in nutrition in college. It's totally not good for you. I promise. So
yeah, you look great. I remember I saw one of your photos. You were like in a wedding kind of sort of dress.
Oh, that was
the modeling gig that you
Yeah. That was Los Angeles Fashion Week just at the end of March. And so I got to go to LA, after New York. New York was February. And then March, we went to Los Angeles and did the runway there and did some photo shoots the day after in Beverly Hills, which was really fun. I got to wear 4 different outfits and a bunch of accessories from 3 different companies. And the wedding dress is from Aquatico Clothing Company. I love it.
You look very sexy in it.
Thank you. Yeah. And I'm getting, I don't know if you know, but I'm getting married by the end of, before October.
Wow. Really?
So
congratulations.
Thank you. I think that's why they put me in the wedding dress. They're like, we're going to put you in a wedding dress.
Manifest, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So how did you get involved with the trans clothing company?
That's, any aspiring model or actress or just influencer of any kind, really, I think you should spend a lot of time on Instagram. People are more serious about work-related things there compared to Facebook, for instance. Right. And I have gotten so much work.
Do you have an agent right now that give you those
sort of. I'm not signed anywhere. I don't have a contract, but Electra Models has helped me a lot in just really since Los Angeles, and they hooked me up with some designers that I'll be walking for at Miami Swim Week in July.
Okay.
And then New York again, and Los Angeles and San Francisco. So I'll be doing multiple designers at each of those fashion weeks.
So if our audience or listener are curious about your work and stuff, where can they find you? Like the best?
I think the best place to find me right now, I have a .com. It's just liviawolfe.com, but don't go there yet. Go there soon.
Not yet.
Because it's under construction.
Okay.
Again, I don't get to sleep,
well, we have a website designer.
Hey, I need help.
You guys can connect. Yeah, so she can help you.
Anyone, please? I'm begging.
So website not, then where should
I need like tabs for each of the things I do.
Yes,
and stuff
many
like
tabs. Many tabs.
Yeah.
So not website, but where shall we?
But yeah, my main presence where you can get to everything in one location is on Linktree, and I think most of us have probably heard of that. Yeah. And I think we'll put up my Linktree link at the end of this video, and you click on it. Okay. And it's pretty simple. It's just Linktree, with my name, Livia Wolfe.
Great.
And it has links to, for instance, articles that have come out, including me in Forbes magazine.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big one. I'm like, yay, Forbes. That's epic.
That's big time. Yeah.
She
has a very long link tree, and so we encourage you to go look at it, from the interviews and her telling her story in various places, and the Forbes with other trans models, which is very amazing and exciting to see.
Yeah, and please add this interview to your link tree too. Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely will, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah. And with TCC, Trans Clothing Company, it's an important company regardless, because everyone involved is either trans or non-binary or gender non-conforming.
I love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yes. So and we made it all the way to New York Fashion Week at Sony Hall, which to me was just a dream come true, really. Amazing. Of course.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I love that it's. Of course, the name is Trans Clothing Company. It's not anything created. It's there. It's bold. It's in front of you, and here we are, and we're not going anywhere.
Exactly. It's in your face to let everyone know.
Exactly.
Trans specific. The things are designed to fit us, of course, which I know we have lots of trouble with.
Yes.
Right.
Or, upper body for the most part, anyway, fitting certain things.
Right.
But yeah, I really love it. The designer, her name, actually their name, they're non-binary, is Melissa K. Atkinson.
Okay.
Do they have online stores or where people can find it? Do you know?
Yeah, you can just look up Trans Clothing Company. I think it's .net or .shop. I apologize.
No, we'll put it in the notes.
Yeah, we'll figure in the notes.
All right.
Yeah, maybe it's .co.
Yeah.
Listen to you that you are very enjoying in front of camera, and I also read that you also a photographer. So do you enjoy more behind the scenes or being a center of the modeling and acting?
Pre-transition, I was absolutely the wallflower. I really quietly, leave me out of it behind the camera. Yeah, which is why photography was good for me because I was always behind the camera. Gotcha. But now, simply because I've chosen this life, for instance, I came out in 2017. I started hormones in 2018, and in spring of 2019, I became this public figure to speak out for for things that we need.
Right.
And so I started doing a lot of public events and red carpets, and then got into the movie industry sort of by luck. I had a director approach me to be in that anti-suicide PSA called Charlie's Themes I mentioned. And I'm like, oh, well, I kind of got the bug for this now.
Nice.
So I'm going to pursue this. It'll help me give me a platform from which to, to speak.
Yes.
And simultaneously, I was planning this trip to Washington, D.C. to go, go and experience the first ever trans visibility march on Washington, D.C. Yeah, I'm like, how could I not?
And that was right before COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the September before COVID, 2019. And so I did that, and I broadcast that, lots of footage. to all my fans on Facebook Live, and I have the full 5,000 you were allowed at that time on that particular profile. And before I got there, I was like, well, I need to do something else while I'm there.
Why we're here?
So, yeah, and it's Washington D.C. Let's go see some politicians. So I made appointments. I lobbied. I actually got to go to the offices and with appointments and sit at the tables and talk to the staff of then Senator Kamala Harris. Which was really awesome. You don't get the senator unless it's just random that they happen to be there, and then you get them, and maybe that's a security protocol.
Yeah,
where you don't actually get the senator.
See staff, right?
Yeah, you're lucky to get in a building, basically. But so I got to talk with them and give them a lot of information about multiple causes, actually. And I did the same with Dianne Feinstein and my own House representative here in California, Ami Bera. And so, yeah, I encourage everyone that even if you can't travel, you can still, talk with your representatives either by email or get on the phone, look up their phone, whatever state you are.
Right.
It's very important. It's really the only thing that changes the future is small amounts, relatively small amounts of committed individuals.
Yes.
That's part of a quote from Margaret Mead back in the day.
Right.
Love her. Yeah.
Exactly. The only thing that has made a difference. Right.
Yeah, it is. Right.
And if we don't speak up, who will?
Right.
And so that's why it's so important.
Yeah. Since I came out, I just have this in me that I can't let one of my sisters have to live the life that I had to live.
Exactly.
My siblings that are younger than myself, I'm ready to stand up and be counted for all of us.
Exactly.
It's time. It's well past time.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like from probably most people that do transition, their old lives aren't very aware of what this community or other communities that are different look like. And so if we don't speak out, if we're not visible or creating awareness, how will other people know? And so we talked about that a lot here and with each other, that it needs to be out. And we understand that some people can't, it's not safe. And it's maybe a time not to be so visible. It's a time to protect yourself and do what you need to do. But when you can, your voice is needed.
So we living in California. I think it's
it's a lot easier.
Possible, a lot of opportunity to speak up and be visible.
Yes. We're not Florida or Texas or
It's California is as safe as it gets, really, for trans people, trans women specifically. But even here, I have experienced discrimination and neo-Nazis contacting me to tell me they have my picture on your dartboard.
My gosh.
And the Sacramento area and Northern California has their own neo-Nazi groups, Proud Boys, all that sort of thing that roll in. And even locally, it made it to the news that teenagers in high school were posting pictures with like swastikas painted on their body and stuff. And that's not okay.
Hard to imagine.
I'm fighting that. Exactly.
And so
it's the Sacramento County Department of Health has their mental health department, which has a campaign. It's Stop Stigma Sacramento, and that's a hashtag. And there's other ones to go along with it. You can find them on Instagram and all social media. And since it is May is Mental Health Awareness Month, it's awesome. So at the end of last month, we filmed a 30-second TV commercial for the county to, my part in it was transgender specific to get, trans people in for care, to not be, ashamed of it, that they need help with anxiety because of the way society treats us. I mean, look, I know Nazis are after me, right?
Right.
That can cause some anxiety.
A little bit, right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it is time we talk about that and within our community, and the results can be devastating. And so I know for me, I've been on medication for many years and have struggled with anxiety and depression probably since very young, but of course not diagnosed.
Too.
But
me too.
The difference that it has made in my life, and then ultimately after HRT, I was able to go off some antidepressants because the effect that HRT had on me was so amazing.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah, and so it is something that we always need to put in front that we still do struggle. I still go through depression now. I live an amazing life compared to the inauthenticity I had before, but yet it's still difficult. Life. We still live in this country where many people don't like us, and there are people passing laws that will restrict us and
every bit of that hurts our mental health as well as our physical health. They want to stop us from getting care. It's crazy.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And before I came out, I had a solid 15 years of depression and anxiety. And even before I started on hormones, just knowing back in 2015, 2016, really it started for me to hit home, and definitely 2017, that where I'm free. And that weight that came off my shoulders was enough to have me in 3 weeks wean off of years of antidepressants.
Amazing. Is it amazing?
Yeah, I never went back.
I had read that.
I was on. Go ahead.
I had read that would be true, and so I was hoping that's how my body would react as well. Yeah. And within 3 days
to be my true self.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
It's really all it took.
So there's
and I'm not on any of that anymore. Ever since 2016, I weaned off of everything safely. Had a couple seizures along the way during withdrawal because it can cause that.
Oh, wow, right.
So it was a harsh. With not with the antidepressants, but with anti-anxiety meds specifically, they are for people that have seizures often. And so if you're not taking it for seizures and you stop it, even if you withdraw it slowly, you're likely to have seizures for a while. And they can be so bad that you can really get harmed or killed by them. Benzodiazepines are the worst category of that sort of drug, but Klonopin is the worst of that category. And that's what I was on for a long time. So, the withdrawal of most drugs, even really hardened sort of street drugs, is only like 2.5 to 3 weeks or months. And this was 3 years withdrawing from Klonopin, actually 2.5 years to get Klonopin out of my system in incredibly tiny increments. And then another 6 months on Valium because it's similar, but the molecule's different enough to stagger it a little bit more. But in all, it was about over 5 years of, in addition to that, I had to be on something called gabapentin, which is really just a, an amino acid that your body, everyone's body produces. Yeah. But Klonopin teaches your body to forget how to make it. And so I had to supplement that for about 5.5 years to make sure I wouldn't have seizures. So I'm all good now, though. I'm off of everything.
And that's a great story because it
wide
can be
awake
difficult.
and loving my life. Right. Yeah, it can. Yeah. We go through, hell. I like to say that heaven and hell exists right here on earth. Right.
And if any of our listeners find yourself in those type of situations, you're not alone. And we want you to reach out to us. That's one of the reasons that we want to be so visible and so accessible, because we know, and as Livia is saying, these times can be very difficult and even exaggerated even more so because of our gender incongruence. And as we go there, you're not alone. And I know it feels like you're alone, and there may not be anyone in your city or county or even state that is gender nonconforming, but you're not alone. And reach out to any of us and any other person that's out and aware there. We're always willing to talk to people.
Yeah, and also we're going to put it, I believe you on your Instagram, there's a hotline for people to call if they're, right?
Yeah, well, I think a great one for trans people is the Trans Lifeline. Yes, it's a phone number that you can call anytime. It's staffed by trans people for trans people. So, you're going to get some proper care. And in fact, I've had people write to me to say how useful it has been for them and, I have nothing but the greatest respect for the people, on those phones because, you can get PTSD just from listening to the stories of others repeatedly. Right. And I had someone recently tell me they're in the Bay Area of San Francisco. And, they had someone on the phone from that group and they were just crying on the phone with them, because they really feel part of it because we are. We've walked the walk.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're going to get some good care. If you have to call them, please do.
Reach out.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well said.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to shift our show a little bit.
Okay.
We're going to talk about your celebrity shift. Because I'm myself, I'm a foodie person. Many people know.
Good.
So I'm very, very surprised that you're also doing something like that.
Okay.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, I do love my pretty food.
And it is very pretty.
It's very yummy too.
Well, it kind of works out because I have a background as being a photographer for a long, long time, and when I was a kid, I was a teenager, and my older brother was a chef at some high-end places back east, so I got to learn from him. Mm-hmm. And so I sort of kept up that discipline over the years and got kind of good. A lot of people want me to cook for them already.
Wow.
Nice.
And during lockdown, I was posting enough of the pretty food where people were like, you have to have a show, So I'm like, okay.
Do you have a show?
At the time, I don't, but I already, have my chef Livia Wolfe Instagram up, and I am either hunting for a show or I'm going to create my own shortly.
Right.
It's just a matter of, I sleep maybe 5 hours on average already.
Yes.
Finding the time in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Someone wants to help. Hey, let me know, please.
So there you go, Solomon. That can be our first franchise.
Right. But I have a couple great ideas for the approach for cooking shows that I think would go over really well.
Excellent.
So we're going to pursue that. As far as healthy alternatives.
Oh yeah, so needed.
Pre-transition, I was terribly overweight, like really terribly. I was in danger, whereas because my cholesterol was high and my liver enzymes were high and everything. And now everything is really quite perfect, frankly. And you really can do that with just making your own good food and knowing what's in the food you make. So
reading labels and understanding.
Right. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, maybe you can also come up with a book too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like an online book.
Regarding food, I think, if you're not spending the money that you need to on quality food and the way you cook it, you're going to spend it on medications.
Oh, that's right.
Very good point.
Or surgeries or co-pays. Yes, you don't want that. So just eat well.
Wow.
And geez, look at me. Seriously, I got this fit. I lost 69 pounds.
Wow. Nice.
Before my transition started, as I was motivated, I lost 69 pounds, basically just by eating properly. And, I didn't belong to a gym. I just went hiking and dancing a lot, and that's about it.
Wow.
So everyone can do it. You just have to want it.
That's great. Yeah. Can we carbon copy you? Is that a thing yet? Because you do so many things and so many things well. We need you not to sleep. Take those extra 5 hours and put out more content.
I'm trying my best. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's amazing what you're involved in.
So with my cooking, I am starting to do locally in Sacramento area, doing cooking in person for people. Small parties, that sort of thing, not something massive. I just kind of want to keep it personal where someone just wants to hire a chef. And usually it's people really like doctors who see the need and don't have the time and or don't care about cooking. So, I could make them a week's worth of meals in advance. They throw it in their freezer, they're done. Or I cook for them at a dinner party for friends.
Wow.
Amazing.
I love it's just another performance art.
Right.
I equate it to sidewalk chalk art, the artist drawing on the sidewalk and then people walk on it and it's gone in a day or two. Food's the same way. It's beautiful, takes some effort, take some pictures, and then you eat it and it's gone.
But then it's also nourishing and builds in who you are. Yeah. So I love that.
Well, like any other art is nourishing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I always say food brings people together.
Yep.
It does.
Yeah.
It really does.
It does.
Manja.
Okay, Solomon, we're going to need a kitchen. And we're going to fly Livia down and we're going to have a cooking show on our podcast.
He already has a camera up there.
Yes.
So he can have a cooking stove.
Exactly, right.
Yeah. Okay, so what if somebody want to come out and they want to, pursue their career? Do you have any advice for them?
Well,
from your experience?
This hasn't changed for me since I was a child. I was feeling various degrees of needing to be the real me forever. And again, back then I didn't have the words that describe me. And now lots of young people do, and they're finally coming forward. I say to them, to all of you out there, this isn't going away.
Right.
What you feel, it won't go away. You have to address this.
Yes.
And,
it's going to get worse.
Yeah, we often have to give up lots of things in life to be who we really are. And in the end, at least for me, it's still worth it. Yes. It's totally still worth it.
Right.
And in my work life, I'm in contact with lots of people that write to me that, they haven't had issues at work. They haven't been discriminated. They haven't been fired or anything like that, et cetera. And that's a beautiful thing. And it depends where you are and what your situation is and what sort of work you do. Right. But and I have been discriminated against in the entertainment industry, specifically in some modeling, where some groups were like, "Oh, we love you," and then I'm such the activist that I tell them that I'm trans after we start talking, and then they would literally block me or some variation on that. Yeah, so
it's real.
Yeah, you'd be prepared for that, but just walk up to the doors that are open for you, and the others will be dragged into the correct side of history, when we choose it.
Yeah, you're very fearless, and very have the courage and confidence. I think that's the most important thing, because
confidence is everything.
Yes,
really.
If you have confidence, then they will not really, attack
exactly.
you.
Don't have misplaced confidence, but do your homework. Like either, no matter what you do, your job or something you're striving for that you've never done, or going to Washington, D.C. to talk to politicians, just like do your homework first.
Exactly.
And then you'll be comfortable enough to just own the room when you're there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Livia, you're such a great example for us to live in our authenticity, but then use your voice to celebrate that and keep pushing the boundaries. So thank you for all that you do, and thank you for being so visible. It's the easiest thing not to and just to hide, but thank you for your voice.
Yeah.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you for coming on the show and share your story. And we look forward to our second show with you in the future.
Okay. Yeah,
maybe
I'll come to Los Angeles. Yeah, it'll absolutely be in person.
Right here.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll be coming to LA a lot for photo shoots.
Do a cooking show right here too.
Oh, I could. I will absolutely do that.
Burn Solomon's studio down.
I can set up I can do it on like a propane stove. We'll be fine.
No problem. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll look forward to more of your works out there, and then people follow you. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Right. Bye now.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll be back next time. Thank you.
Have a great week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.